We're anxiously waiting to see how Iran will respond after President Trump ordered a massive attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. Here's what he said Saturday night. Let's watch.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
So joining us now in Hot Topics is ABC News Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm happy to have you here, believe me. So on Thursday, the White House said that Trump was going to make a decision on Iran within the next 2 weeks. That's what he said. Remember that? Okay. He was going to give diplomatic negotiations more time to play out. And then, less than 48 hours later, this attack was underway. So what changed? And what was he actually trying to accomplish here?
I mean, look, the 2 weeks measure was clearly a bit of a head fake. I mean, not entirely. I wouldn't say the decision was finally made. All indications are he didn't actually make the decision to so-called pull the trigger until Saturday, you know, and then the attack commenced. But obviously, all the wheels were already in motion. In fact, the wheels were in motion a full week beforehand. Shortly after the Israelis made their attack the previous Friday, the president saw it as a sweeping success. I mean, he was very excited about it. I spoke to him that morning, and he said, this is excellent. He was no longer saying the Americans weren't involved. He was taking credit for American weaponry being part of it. He was clearly ready to go, but there was a last-minute push for some kind of a diplomatic resolution. He really wanted that moment. I mean, I think he thought he could have a Kim Jong-un moment with the supreme leader of Iran and have a big deal right before the bombs were going to drop. The Iranians were not engaging at all, and he made the decision.
So why did he keep it a secret? Just for the
diversion.
The surprise version?
I mean, absolutely the diversion. And you saw the way that all indications were the B-2s were flying towards Guam. Everybody thought, okay, so we're getting in position to be ready. They wanted to have some element of surprise. Let's face it, there wasn't really much element of surprise. I mean, this had been in the works for a long time, but to have the final moment to be a surprise.
Okay.
And John, there's been a lot of mixed messaging, it feels like, coming out of the White House or the administration, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's on the regime change or what Tulsi Gabbard said. So last week, Donald Trump said his own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was wrong when she said that Iran wasn't building a nuke. She said that in front of Congress under oath. So was there new intelligence? What are we basing this on? Because I think a lot of America, still has PTSD from George W. Bush when decisions were based on wrong information or lies.
I mean,
has there been new information that came out?
He actually said, because he was asked about that, he said, well, my intelligence community said that they're wrong. And then he was like, who? Tulsi Gabbard. Well, she's wrong. Look, that's what Tulsi Gabbard said in testimony in March, that Iran had not made the decision to restart their weapons program. Yes, they had stockpiled the fuel that they would need to power those nuclear weapons, but they had not made the decision to turn them into actual nuclear weapons. That had not changed. But keep in mind, the biggest hurdle is to get the fuel for the nuclear weapons. And the belief was that that could be something that they could do within a matter of weeks. Oh. By the way, I've been covering the Iran nuclear threat, I hate to say it, for literally 2 decades. Oh. And during much of that time, the sense is that Iran was months away from having a bomb.
Yeah, since 1995, Benjamin Netanyahu has said Iran is either 2 years away, 3 years away, 2 weeks away. I mean, he has been saying that for decades. What has changed? Nothing.
Well, look, nothing. What changed here is the opportunity and the belief that the Iranians were weak, that a strike could be effective. Look, 4 presidents, and I've covered all of them, saw the Iran nuclear program as a severe threat. 4 presidents contemplated military action against it and held back. Donald Trump has done what they haven't done, but these plans have been in the works, have been drilled, have been examined, and they felt there was an opportunity. The Iranian air defenses have been taken out. The Iranian proxies in the region, the Hezbollah, the Houthis had been weakened. This was a chance to do it.
John, President Trump is calling this a complete and total success and saying Iran's nuclear sites were obliterated as a result.
Completely obliterated.
Completely
I think
obliterated
was the phrase, yeah.
as a result of the strikes. But Iran
As
is
opposed to partially obliterated.
Yes,
It was,
but Iran is downplaying how much damage was actually done. So what do we know at this point about the effect these strikes actually had?
We don't really know the full effect. And the president said completely obliterated. I spoke yesterday with Vice President J.D. Vance and asked him, so I hear you saying severely damaged, but wait a minute, the president said completely obliterated, and he kind of dismissed, well, what's the difference? I mean, the point is, it's been set back years. I mean, it's a big difference. Are they set back or are they gone? And the president today, by the way, perhaps because he saw my interview with J.D. Vance, is saying it's completely obliterated. Obliterated is the word. But you don't hear the military assessment saying that because we really don't know. Obviously, there was severe damage done. One big question, and this is one that I asked the vice president, they had about 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium. Where is it?
Yeah.
Was it destroyed? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. And I asked, was it destroyed?
Yeah.
They don't know.
Will we know?
They think, I mean, you have to be, basically, a lot of this, you have to be on the ground. Now, there are Israeli commandos that get on the ground, but the IAEA is not there to do the inspections. I mean, it'd be very hard to do inspections at this point on facilities that have been blown up. There's also a question, do the Iranians have yet another secret facility? Had they moved material out of those facilities in advance of this attack? We don't know. They are confident that they did severe damage to the facilities. They believe that the uranium was destroyed in the process, but they don't know.
Well, I was going to ask you that question because it does seem that there's enriched uranium that's unaccounted for as much as 600
900 pounds roughly.
900 pounds.
Could that be moved by car?
It could be. It's not a huge amount physically. It would take, I think, more like something like a dozen.
I've seen
trunk
Mission
loads.
Impossible. I'm familiar.
But it can be. Yes.
I do want to ask you because I think the thought on a lot of Americans' mind, regardless of whether they supported the strikes, don't oppose the strikes, is, okay, what does this mean for us? What does retaliation look like? You were at the White House. I was at the Pentagon after the Soleimani strike. And the Iranians targeted U.S. troops in Iraq. That was kind of their response. But now I want to know, what's the administration preparing for? Are we simply thinking this might be an attack response within the Middle East? Or is there a potential they could activate sleeper cells here in the United States?
All that is possible. There's a belief that the Iranian regime is not suicidal. And that an attack on the United States would trigger a counterattack that could be the end of the regime.
And keeping in mind, the Ayatollah is 86 years old.
He's 86. He's been in power since 1989. He's by some measures the longest living dictator in the world.
What's the sense you have of, is he the most weakened he's ever been right now?
There's no question. Iran is the weakest they've been since the early years of the revolution. I mean, they had their main ally in the region, really their only national ally in the region, was Syria and Assad. He's gone. They had Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah has been severely diminished. Hamas was allied with Iran. They've been diminished. So they are, and also obviously their defenses, their missile programs. Most of their missiles, long-range missiles, have been destroyed. Most of their medium-range missiles have been destroyed. They can still do a lot of damage. They have the ability to do cyber attacks. They have the ability to activate sleeper cells, terrorism. But anything they do will trigger a U.S. response. It's interesting so far that they responded by attacking Israel. They haven't attacked us yet.
Well, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have called into question the constitutionality of Donald Trump's actions. He bypassed Congress, potentially violated the War Powers Resolution. I believe this is certainly a clear violation of international law, at the very least. Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries accused the president of misleading the country as to his intentions. What do you think are the possible ramifications that President Trump could face for arguably overstepping his authority?
Well, look, constitutionally, only Congress has the power to declare war. The War Powers Act would make it seem very clear you need to have congressional approval on this. But president after president after president has launched military action without the approval of Congress.
Yeah.
And Congress, under Democratic and Republican leadership, has complained the president is violating the War Powers Act. This is not new. I mean, I go back. I covered Bill Clinton and the military strikes against Kosovo back in 1999. Again.
That's why I think it's more of an international law violation.
But you know, look, it's a Republican Congress right now. I don't think he's not getting any blowback from within his own party, with the exception of Tom Massie.
So what's the good of having it then, if they all violate it?
Well, that's a great question. I mean,
we've been using the 2003 AUMF to authorize every military strike in about 25 years. So Congress can't be feckless and then be mad when they don't like the outcome.
Yeah. So that was after 9/11. Congress passed this authorization of military force against. It was supposed to be against Afghanistan, for harboring Al Qaeda, and it has been used over and over and over and over again.
All right. Well, before the strike, there was trouble in Maga Paradise with Trump loyalists Marjorie Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, who said that getting involved in Iran would go completely against Trump's America First ethos, which he was all about. No more wars, no foreign wars. I remember him saying all of that. He was furious with George Bush for what he did, etc. But I noticed now, since this assault and this attack, they've been pretty quiet.
Look, in his inaugural address, he said, "We will measure success by the wars we end and the wars we do not get into." This was a central campaign promise, not just another list of promises. This was a defining feature of the Trump movement. Was the Bushes and the Republicans, they got us into wars. We're not going to do that. They have been remarkably quiet. Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out and said she's praying for our troops. She's reiterating her opposition, but it's very polite. We haven't heard from Tucker Carlson. Steve Bannon has been very muted on this. But
he got a free lunch.
Bannon had lunch with him on Thursday. 2 days before the attacks. I'm told he spent more than 2 hours with him. And I believe he left that meeting thinking that he had convinced the president to hold off.
Who, Bannon?
Yeah. That didn't work.
Not really.
Yeah. But look, the MAGA movement's going to be with the MAGA leader.
Yeah.
Well, it's always interesting when you come here and try to explain to our audience what's going on, because it's pretty scary and confusing.
They're consequential, frightening times.
We're all holding our breath to see what they're going to do next.